are you, American Jiu-Jitsu family? We are now entering into the green belt category of American Jiu-Jitsu centers. So now we introduce sweeps and throws, and that's a lot of what Jiu-Jitsu is all about. In the beginning, it's what they call Jiu-Jitsu. We do a lot of striking, a lot of kicking and punching. It's a lot of basic things, basic survival things that it's a little bit easier to teach. Now when we do sweeps and off balances, and there's a lot more technicalities that get involved. But every situation does end up on the ground. So what's the thing that's better? Well, here's the way I explain it. What you've learned up until now is like breaking windows, the jiu-jitsu. It's a very crude, it's very elementary, it's very effective, but it doesn't take as much technical things as sweeps and throws get involved with. You know, if you forgot your key home and you broke your window to get in your house because you had to, it's okay to do that once. But if you did it every time, it would kind of get expensive. So what happens is when you start to learn the sweeps and throws, instead of trying to knock a person down with a punch, you could actually take a person down with a sweep or a throw, so you become a little bit more technical, okay? So we call these keys, okay? Back on one of the videos I did with the kicking, I said how we kick a person in the face is we throw the person down on the ground. We're not an art, and again, no disrespect for people who have arts that do kick to the face. We're not, like I said, in competition with people. But when I kick a person in the face, I can kick a person on the face after I take them down to the ground. And here's exactly where this comes into play. So the first technique we're going to learn is what we call a hadaka jimmy. Now we've done this in a couple of the self-defense techniques, but now we're going to take it from a punch. Please understand the way this system works. In the beginning, we teach you a lot of the John Wayne stuff, the big haymaker. And then as it progresses up, around red belt, we start talking about if they're coming at you like a free fighter. We already did some of that at yellow, black, all right, but those were more of the jiu-jitsu, the striking back. When we get to red belt, black, we go more into the sweeps and throws like we're talking about, okay? So it's a very, very progressive system. There is a plan. I've been building this for over 50 years. One of my black belts said to me, "Oh, Sensei, this is like having a living document because it constantly changes, it constantly grows." There's some traditional things that we talk about. There's some combative things. There's new world that we talk about. We're constantly evolving, we're constantly changing. This is not the same system that I wrote 30 years ago. It changes and evolves every day. So green belt is now when we start to introduce sweeps and throws, and we're going to see as many techniques as we could, as long as I'm conscious of the time, that we can get through on this tape. This tape might take between 3 and 4. We have green belt, and then we have green black. Right now, we're going to deal with green belt. And again, I have Shihan Kathy and Shihan Billy here. We are practicing social distancing. They are married black belts. They've been with me for many, many years. They volunteered to come here today and help me because it's a little hard to do these techniques without having. We're not making contact with each other. We're keeping the appropriate distancing from each other, and they're working with each other because they live with each other and they're with each other all the time. With that being said, I want to thank them for coming here and give you an opportunity to see what we call IPPONS, which means one-step fighting movement. So the first one is what we refer to as the hadaka jimmy. All right, let's look at that. Also, we're going to be introducing a temis, which is a light finger strike, which controls the person but doesn't knock the person down. So if I did this technique without them, it's going to look like the block that we learned earlier, the atemi, okay? We're going to put the hand on the opposite shoulder, which they're going to show. We're going to come up underneath, and we're going to choke the person. Actually, that's going to be the second technique. The first technique, we're going to block a temi and take the blocking hand and pin it right to the person's body. And then from here, we're going to come around, and we're going to do that hadaka jimmy, which they're going to demonstrate right now. So you got a little preview on the next technique as well. So let's see that. All right, from a high punch, block, atemi, pin the hand. Notice how he takes the left hand, comes around, and does that hadaka jimmy right there. We're going to do that one more time from the opposite side, except Shihan's going to go a little bit easier because we've got to do a lot of techniques, and he's going to make Shihan Kathy pass out. All right, let's do that again. Block atemi, pins the hand down, from here, turns, and chokes the person out. In this next technique, which is very similar to the first technique, you notice how he pinned that hand down? Well, in this technique, he can't pin that hand down for whatever reason. Maybe the person's taller, stronger, or bigger. So now what happens is he's going to block a temi. We're always looking to turn that hand, but let's say we feel we can't. So now we're just going to go underneath, and we're going to do an armbar. Now, the armbar itself could be the done technique, but the person bends the arm back and takes it back, and now we're just going to slide behind the person and do this hadaka jimmy again. Okay? So let's look at that technique. We block, We atemi, comes underneath, the person pulls the hand back, and there's the choke right from there. Okay, let's look at this from the other side. So blocks atemi, can't move the hand, goes underneath, she pulls the hand back, from here, bang, and chokes the person out. That's an arm bar lost into a hadakajimi, okay? One of the first sweeps that we teach in jiu-jitsu is called a sotogeri, which is a leg sweep throw, okay? The key with any sweep is you must have the person off balance. If you take the person off balance in one direction, they're gonna retake a step and regain their balance. So when you take a person off balance, you need 2 steps. You need 2 steps of off balance. You need 1 and then 2. And then once you do that, you'll have the person into a state that you can take them down to the ground. You're gonna swing your leg like a pendulum, okay? You're gonna swing your leg like a pendulum, just like you're doing a back kick. It comes here and back, okay? And that's gonna take a person out. Once we bring the person down on the ground, we're gonna finish them off with a vertical fist strike, and we're gonna end it there. There's a lot more that we can do when the person's down on the ground, but this is green belt level, and we want to keep it minimal, okay? So, high punch into sotogeri. Also, again, we bring that atemi in there. So we block, we atemi, we take the person off balance, and we go into the sweep. It's going to be demonstrated right now. All right, so throws a punch, slowly, atemi, takes you off balance, sweeps the person, and finishes the person off with a vertical fist strike. Let's do that the opposite way, Shihan. So you'll be facing me?
Oh, I'll be facing.
All right, so watch again. He blocks, atemis, off balance, sweeps the person from here, and finishes the person off. That technique is called an sotogeri. Perfect. Next technique is what we call a leg takeout. All right, this is a technique that maybe the person is much taller and we want to get down lower than the person. So what's going to happen here is we're going to block, we're going to atemi, and then we're going to go down nice and low. We want to strike to the person's groin, and then we're going to cut the person's leg and bring the person down. Again, we have many other finishes off than what we're going to show you today. What we're going to show you today is just going to knee the knee right to the groin to finish the person off, and I think that's going to be good enough, but we do have other variations that we show with this as well. All right, trying to keep it to a minimal today. So he throws a high punch. From here, he pommels with the inside hand, strikes to the groin, cuts the leg out, and then finishes off with that knee strike right to the person's groin. When you cut the leg out, you want to take your forearm. Remember, you're going low, so you don't want to go low with your head up. When you go low, you want to keep your hand up, strike underneath your hand, and then you're going to take your elbow to the inner part of the knee and turn it, and that's going to take the leg, and it's going to open it up like so, okay, which is going to put the person into a balanced stage. Some people say to me, well, Sensei, if you hit him with the groin, he might go down. Okay. Nobody walks around with one bullet in a gun. A lot of people have many bullets in the gun and another magazine. If the first shot you take works, you're done. Don't worry about if the person goes down too quickly. Go home and have lunch, okay? We're always going to make sure your techniques are fully loaded and have many bullets to follow. And you're learning a minimal amount of things right now, and there's so much more to follow. Remember, I'm a person right now that could be sitting home and saying, just hope for the best. But I'm not. I'm here making videos because I'm a person that needs to be keeping busy. I've been doing this for 50 years. I've been developing this system for 50 years. What you're watching is not all that I know, all right? And I don't say that from an egotistical standpoint. I say that from an encouraging standpoint. I always respect the older people in the world because they've lived longer and they know more. Don't be fooled by their age as, well, that's an older person. You know, you younger people out there today, you think you're smarter because you know how to work your phone better? You think you're smarter because you know how to work the computer better? Are you smart enough to pay your mortgage? Are you smart enough to pay the food on the table? No, your parents are. So listen to them. They might be better with, you might be better with the phone and better with the computer, but they're the ones who feed you, they're the ones who take care of you, they're the ones who pay for jiu-jitsu. They're smarter than you. But when you have something you can teach them, like the use of the phone or like the use of the computer, thank you, all right? But we need each other. Part of what we're doing here today and part of what the world is learning is we're doing this together. And that's what we need. We don't need separation. We don't need people to be smarter. We need people to work together. Today I was on the phone with my son and I asked him some advice and he helped me through it like a champ. Okay? So please understand this is all about working together. So let's look at that technique one more time. Throws a high punch from here, high punch, palm low. Notice how he punches, cuts the leg, like I said, brings her down and finishes off with that knee strike. Perfect. Let's look at the next technique. The next technique is a technique that teaches you to deal with what we call a high punch, where most of the techniques that we've taught you so far, we've taught you to step in, all right? Because when a person throws a punch, the last thing they expect you to do is to step in. Sometimes when a punch is thrown at us really quickly, we have to step back. And now we're going to use that tazabaki that I taught in the second or third video, where when the person throws a punch at you, we step back. Now this technique is another technique that has a lot of technical things in it that doesn't seem like it does. So when I teach it, you have to understand where I'm coming from. I never teach something that's just a technique. It leads into other things later on. So you got to kind of just trust me on these things and realize that what I'm teaching you is going to lead you to a better place. So on this technique, we step back because we can't move in. Okay? And the reason why we show a minimal amount of these techniques is because that's your normal reaction when you're untrained, is to step back. So you already built in this before I even taught it. But we're going to step back the proper way. So as we step back here, we're going to kick with the rear leg. And the reason why we kick with the rear leg now is because I want to make sure that you step back far enough so that free hand can't get you. A lot of people want to step back here and say, well, Sensei, why can't I kick with the front leg? Because then the person can hit you with that hand. You step back far enough and now because you need to get far enough away from that free hand. All right, so what's going to happen is you're going to step back far enough, you're going to take that rear leg, you're going to kick to the groin, and you're going to punch the person's face. So if the right leg kicks, the right punches. And then like we're swimming. Shihan Billy is like a crazy swimmer. He swims like 7 million laps a day. Okay, we're going to come over the top, we're going to move, and we're going to strike in a very organized way. Repetition is the mother of skill. You can strike however you want, but you can't. You got to strike the way I tell you to. All right, we're going to strike to the face, to the body, and then we're going to take that first hand, we're going to come all the way around the person's neck, and we're going to do what we call a lapel choke, which they're going to demonstrate for you. So watch that one more time. I'm going to step back, block, I'm going to kick and punch, right and right. I'm going to swim over the top, I'm going to strike to the face, uppercut to the ribs. I'm going to take this hand, come around, and here's where the lapel choke is going to come in. Shihan? Okay. So, he blocks the punch, he kicks with the rear leg, he punches with the rear hand, he swims over the top. He strikes face, body, now watch where the choke comes in. He comes over the top and does what we call an ukiri jimmy, which is a lapel choke technique. Let's do that from the opposite side one more time. Okay. So he steps back on the tazabaki, kicks with the rear leg, punches with the rear hand, strikes face, uppercut to the body, comes over the top, turn her all the way around so they can see it, and there's your choke, right? One hand pulls down, one hand pulls across. It'll make it. Now, if a person, people say to me all the time, what if the person has a t-shirt on? It's worse, all right? With a gi on, at least it kind of mutes it a little bit. With a t-shirt, you're gonna get cut, all right? So it works wonderful. Okay, so we're gonna stop here and we're gonna make another video because I try to keep respectful of your time. We worked on a high punch hadaka jimmy. We worked on a high punch armbar to hadaka jimmy. We worked on a high punch into an osoto gari, and we worked on a cornering movement, stepping back to the corner, basically striking. Remember, rear leg first, rear hand, swim over the top, doing the okiri or jimmy, and then we're going to work on the next technique on the next video. All right. Like I say, a couple things you need to remember: American Jiu-Jitsu group on Facebook. Go to it. These videos are put up every day. American Jiu-Jitsu LI on YouTube. Go to it, and there's a library of all these videos. And 3 things: stay safe, stay healthy, and stay home. Thank you so much for viewing in today, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.